Hi, this is Lynn. I wanted to share with you something of my healing journey and what's brought me to do what I do to work with people. It's got many facets to it. Basically, I was born in Africa, where there's people go to the witch doctor to have the bones thrown and get told about their health, and even if it's not taken very seriously, that's in the atmosphere. I remember being about 5 and thinking I could heal everybody. I don't know why or how. I just felt I could heal people. And I love that innocence of a 5-year-old. Later, I did go to healing group with my guitar teacher, and that was very much part of a healing journey, learning about energies and spiritual aspects. And when I was dancing, people would come to me and say, do something with your magic hands, I've hurt my foot. So I would just do something and they would say, thanks, that feels better. My brother and I always massaged each other when we were kids. I used to massage my dad's neck. We used to do amazing things to each other, not knowing what we were doing, but actually the things that you usually train for, they would just seemed like normal. We would massage each other, move the joints around, actually manipulate backs as kids. It was quite strange. We had never seen it before. When I was in my early 20s, everybody at work was going to see this amazing guy, Zach Zampetakis, and he was curing everybody of all sorts of things. And they said, why don't you go for your headaches? I thought, why not? So I went to see Zach, and he was the most interesting man. He asked me all about what I did, what had happened to me through my life. One of the things that impressed me most, he took out his books and he read them. He said, that's very interesting. And he was a number of things. He was a homeopath, an osteopath, an acupuncturist, and he was a spiritual man. So he's been a real inspiration in what I do. He said to me, you need to do this stuff, and introduced me to some people and talking about remedies like the tissue salts, Schlucher tissue salts. When I first heard about those and saw them, I thought they were really quite weird. That was even in my teens, a lady sitting in her armchair in a farmhouse in Zimbabwe with this little box of pills making people feel better. It was quite amazing. So when he was talking about this and getting me to learn things, and plus he cured my headaches by putting needles in me and massaging, manipulating, talking to me, and getting me to change my diet. So he was real instrumental in my healing journey. What triggered me to start working with people as for my job, my profession, was I had a motorbike accident. And I found myself in hospital for a month. I had mega surgeries, broke my leg, lots of surgery, didn't walk for 6 months, spent a lot of time in bed on my own. Really looking at myself. It was a phenomenal journey to be on my own and look at what's happening. I had people around me, but only for a few hours in the day. They were great, but I had to look at myself, work with all the things I'd learnt, and see what I could do to help heal myself. Part of the healing journey was to go back to my home country, which was Zimbabwe, and spend a few years not working. So I played music, I started doing yoga, I studied more and more and more about nutrition. I got involved in encounter groups with psychotherapy, and I just soaked up everything that could possibly help me feel better. I didn't really know quite why I wasn't so well, and when I came back to the UK, I started searching for who could help me. And I had at one stage 5 different therapists working with me. One was doing acupuncture, one was doing nutrition. I was swallowing the most revolting Chinese herbs, couldn't stand them, having many, many different treatments. And it was very confusing because everybody said something different and slightly conflicting. So I met a few people who helped me. One was another very interesting homeopath in London who said, oh, this is very interesting, and he helped me get better. One of the things that really helped me was going on a course called Touch for Health, and that was the beginning of kinesiology. and I discovered how many foods I couldn't tolerate. Basically, everything I ate was causing me a problem. Everything I ate, everything in the atmosphere, except fruit and vegetables. I had actually figured that out in Zimbabwe because that's all I could have and feel well was fruit and vegetables. But I met somebody who worked with clinical ecology, Dr. Keith Mumby. So he gave me something that would help antidote the reaction so I could actually eat and get well. And the kinesiology helped me on a day-to-day basis to see what can I eat today, what is going to react, what isn't. And there were some quite crazy things I learnt to do because some of the reactions would be emotional. Eat something and be emotional, not cope, get dizzy. Really strange stuff that nobody seemed to know about then, which turned out to be what was later known as total allergy syndrome. So basically I'd been vegetarian for a long time, very into the whole healthy eating, and it didn't suit me. So I needed to start eating meat again, which was quite tricky. And I slowly unraveled what I could eat, what I couldn't eat, built up my system. In the meantime, while doing kinesiology and studying more of it, I went on a very interesting course in Holland. And every time the chiropractor who was giving the course, Dr. Sheldon Deal, did a manipulation, everybody was up and interested. So that led to me learning to be an osteopath because I loved the whole physicality of working with the whole structure. So for many years I couldn't dance, and that was a real trauma for me. And I remember my therapist saying, "Can you accept that you cannot dance?" I said, "No, I cannot." And then he very cleverly said to me, "Can you accept that you cannot accept that?" Yes, I can. And that was a really big point of healing and a really good lesson, because if you can accept something, you can change it. So I always look to find that acceptance in something, in myself, in helping my patients, because if we don't accept something, we can't change it. So where did I go from there? Osteopathy, kinesiology. While I was studying, I met Peter Goldman through one of my colleagues at college, and started studying spiritual psychotherapy, which was all about the energy of what it is to be a person living in a body, working with chakras and energies. And they weren't really new to me because I'd studied them before in my readings and yoga and different experiences, but it helped to put some clarity on what it is to have different bodies than a physical body. We have energetic bodies. We feel things in the environment through this extension of ourself. Back 30-something years ago, there were very few books written on this. Now they're all over the place, all about chakras, energies, bodies, meridians. It's all quite well known. The way I first learnt about meridians was I lay down and meditated and asked my body to show me where they were, so I could feel them inside my body rather than just knowing where they were. It was very interesting, just following the channels. A little bit of knowledge to know where they are and then feel them. It was a great learning. I love experiential learning, and we all have different learning styles. I'm quite kinesthetic, so I need to do something, feel it. I need to hear it and see it. I need that whole input to really embody some knowledge. So because of this whole learning aspect, when I'm teaching yoga teachers about anatomy and physiology, I want them to really own it. So I've had teachers come to some of my courses and they haven't really got what anatomy is about because it's been shown to them and talked at them. Now, I'm not good at taking that information on. So what I like to do is I would break it down first. Let's look at the bones. We can give them names. You don't have to know the names, but let's look at the bones, know where they are. It's good to know their names. And then let's go and feel them in the body. Now, most yoga students want to, when they feel, the first thing is their muscles. It's like, no, don't stretch the muscle. We want to back off. I want awareness of the bone. So you feel the bone. And it's really empowering when you can feel your own skeleton, because it's going down to that basic level, that thing, that bone that lasts forever unless we burn it. So getting that knowledge, once people know that and feel them themselves, then I want them to feel it in somebody they're working on, say a student they might be adjusting. So then we have to look at energy, because if you're going to touch somebody else's body, to feel them, you can feel with your hands, but to know how to touch that person, you need to feel the energy. Where do we meet? You don't just go in, where do I meet that person? How do I touch them? What is right in that moment? And how do I feel the bone? Because if we're working in yoga, that's important to know. Then we did similar thing with joints, and then with muscles and ligaments, tendons. The fascinating thing about muscles, because if you start looking at a Gray's Anatomy book, there's so many of them and they're so complicated. To me, I like to keep it simple. From kinesiology, what does a muscle do? It does that. Okay, so you know that's the movement. Then where is it? Feel it on your own body, feel it on somebody else's body, move it. And then you have a sense of it, of owning it. So the next thing is to know the name. That's helpful in talking to other people. But to me, the most important thing is to feel the anatomy, so it's a living thing rather than an abstract thing in the head. There's an interesting phenomena I find in practice, that in the early days in practice, it seems like this much effort and work was required for this much response. And the more I know how to listen to the body and let the body do the work, because the body's the one that does the healing. You break a leg, the plaster doesn't heal it, puts it in place for the body to heal it. So it's a bit like I'm being the plaster to put things in place so the body can do their own healing. So now it seems more like I do this for this, and that's very exciting, just knowing how the body responds and the person. And what's a really exciting lesson is to stand back and let the person, let their body, let their story tell me what they need, rather than thinking they've got sciatica, so I need to do this, this, and this. I need to ask questions, I need to let them tell me things. So it's an ongoing journey of less is more, and recognizing that it's the people who come to me who do the healing, and I'm there to help. My journey so far has led me around 9 countries, and I'm now living in the southeast of England, and I feel very blessed with the work I do. I'm in a wonderful location with beautiful views, and I get to hang out with really lovely people and help them. So it's a real privilege, and I get paid for this, which is great. I spend a lot of my time studying and developing and learning new things and teaching, and it's an onward journey. It's a healing process for me and my patients, and I would love to share more of it with you. And my current new thing is doing these videos, so I look forward to sharing a lot more stories and anecdotes and knowledge with you. Thank you so much. If you'd like to see any more of these, please subscribe. If you'd like to be notified at them, click the little bell, and I look forward to interacting with you again soon. Thank you so much.